Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to anyone who's new to this channel. This channel is about the teachings and life and work of a very special being named Bruno Groening. You can read more about him in the link below or in the link to the side. So one thing that Bruno Groening spoke about is becoming an instrument of God, a servant of God. In fact, Bruno Groening said that all of us already are instruments of God and servants of God, just like him, except we don't fully believe it. We don't fully live it. And this reminds me of a verse from the Bible in which it's written that Christ said, after doing a miracle, these things and greater shall you do. There's a beautiful verse in the Bible, in one of the letters of Paul, it says that all of us will become Haijisu, co-heirs with Christ. So, when someone once said to Bruno Groening that he was a master, he said, well, what is a master? I'm paraphrasing, but it's almost the exact quote. What is a master? Well, a master is someone who knows their trade. He said, I want all of you to become masters of life. So that's a very strong statement, as are some of the other statements I've quoted from Bruno and quotes from the Bible about us becoming masters, servants of God, instruments of God. Where it gets paradoxical, and it's one of the most fascinating things I've ever heard of. Because, I was raised to worship Christ, not with the idea that I would somehow I would become like Christ. But here's where it gets really interesting, is the need for humility. Bruno Groening himself was deeply, deeply humble, saying things like, I am nothing, God is everything. Saying things like, I don't know much. I only know what human beings have forgotten today. And saying things like, well, God has given me a little bit more than most human beings. Of course, we have statements in the Bible where Christ says, of myself, I can do nothing. And when someone called him good, it's written, he responded, why do you call me good? Only God is good. So the paradox is, as we sit with this idea of our destiny, maybe beyond what we can really fathom, obviously, humility is a key piece of it, because it's very easy to become arrogant on the spiritual path. I know that's something that I've struggled with and sometimes do struggle with. It's one thing to know information, it's another thing to live it and embody it. So in my own journey, I sit with the idea of, that my destiny, and not just me personally, but all of us, our destiny, but, when I think about my own journey, wow, I'm on this limitless journey, and I don't know how vast of a being I am or will become. And yet it's essential to balance that with humility. Otherwise, it's very easy to become arrogant and think, oh, well, I'm this amazing spiritual being. When the two masters who people I think of as masters, and who am I to say Bruno was a master or Jesus was a master? Only a master could really know that, right? So it's more like, in my opinion, hopefully my humble opinion. So it's so important to stay humble and, as they say, have your head in the clouds, but your feet on the ground. And the last thing I'd like to close with is something very interesting that Bruno Groening said. He said, I am the only human being who has remained completely natural. which very strongly implies that what Bruno Groening was and isn't something so much, isn't really extraordinary, but it's natural. And natural, theoretically, for all of us. And I say theoretically because it's just talk until we realize it for ourselves. And I would say that's kind of an individual journey for each person to realize this, experience and embody this for themselves. As I've mentioned many times, this was a key doctrine in early Christianity, that the message of Christ, hi Luna, that the purpose of Christ's coming was this spiritual process called theosis, of helping us to become, not become God, but become like God, to become like our source, like our maker. So let's spend a few minutes in silence and reflect on all this, taking in the goodness, opening to the possibility of an unspeakably vast journey, and recognizing that humility is a key component of that. So I'm going to pause here. Of course, you're welcome to continue tuning in. Wish everyone a beautiful, beautiful day. Thank you so much.